In this video, we are talking about a significant severe weather outbreak that will affect millions of people with strong tornadoes, widespread damaging winds, and some destructive hail, and even some significant flash flooding over the next week or so. We're going to be walking you through the weather pattern and what you can expect out your door as we go through the next 7 to 10 days. And just talking about the last 24 hours, a very active last 24 hours it has been. We go back to Sunday, March 30th, and there was a monster line of some widespread damaging winds, a lot of wind reports, a lot of hail reports further south too into Arkansas and Texas, a couple tornado reports mixed in here, and unfortunately 2 fatalities did result from those damaging wind reports up there into northern Indiana. So my prayers go out to everybody affected by the storms yesterday, and unfortunately we're here to talk about more significant severe weather moving forward here through the new week, and let's talk about it. So as we go into tomorrow, there is an upgrade to an enhanced risk of severe weather into the central high plains, especially there into Kansas. But notice the severe weather threat on Tuesday extends all the way up into Wisconsin, as far east as Indiana again, and all the way back here into Texas. As we go into Wednesday, a lot of the same areas that got hit on Sunday and could get hit as we go into tomorrow could also get hit as well on Wednesday. We have another large enhanced risk of severe weather all the way up into the southern Great Lakes, extending all the way back down into northeast Texas. And if that's not enough, there is another slight risk of severe weather from the lower Ohio River Valley as far north and east as Pennsylvania and as far west as North Texas as we go into Thursday, April the 3rd as well. So what are we seeing here currently this evening? As of this video, we are seeing a line of thunderstorms across the eastern U.S. This is our remnant system that brought all that severe weather yesterday on Sunday, March 30th, back across the Ohio Valley, the mid-Mississippi River Valley, and the southern plains. Now we're starting to see some more severe weather across the mid-Atlantic coast into the southeast coast and parts of the northeast here this evening. A lot of these storms are going to continue to press further off to the east by mid and late evening. Still watching out for damaging wind gusts, some large hail, and a couple of tornadoes. So don't let your guard down here if you live in New Jersey, New York State, all the way down into Maryland to Delaware, all the way down into coastal Virginia and the Carolinas, keeping an eye out for some strong to severe storms heading in through the mid and late evening hours. Hopefully, as we go into after midnight, and that's what the model indicates here, is that we're going to start to see the most significant weather move off the coast. Yes, we could see some remnant rain showers and some thunder activity across Boston, Hartford, and towards Providence, but I think a lot of these areas will be seeing less of a severe weather threat, most importantly, as we go into the wee hours of the morning on Tuesday, and the rain will walk itself out of the Boston region sometime early in the morning there on Tuesday. Let's look at the rainfall amounts. This could drop, could be seeing anywhere from a ½ inch upwards to an inch of rain. So some beneficial rains for some of us here in the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. Maybe some heavier downpours across the southeast like the Carolinas, Georgia, and North Florida with this as well. Florida especially can need the rainfall as well. So this will be some welcome news for our folks there in Florida. Now our new system coming together, and this is going to be a long duration system, folks. So buckle up. We're going to have a big time trough moving in across the west here starting tomorrow morning on April 1st. And no, that's not a joke. That's going to be diving south and east into the Four Corners region on Wednesday, and it's going to just park itself across this desert southwest, and we're just going to see tons of smaller sized troughs emanating from that large parent trough down here in Southern California, into Arizona and New Mexico, and it's just going to continue throughout the week and all the way through until next weekend. So we have a long duration time frame of some heavy thunderstorms with some flash flooding rains, but also, unfortunately, more widespread severe weather. So let's go back to the outlook here for tomorrow. And the Storm Prediction Center has upgraded to an enhanced risk. This is a 3 out of 5 in the orange across portions of east central Kansas. Even in the yellow, though, we're watching out for a slight risk of severe weather. That is a 2 out of 5 from Illinois all the way back through Missouri, southern Iowa, Nebraska, and then all the way southward here through Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas. Dark green, that's a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk surrounding that as well. Let's get a better look at it here. You can see the best chance for severe weather by far is in that orange shaded color. Again, that's an enhanced risk, 3 out of 5 across east central Kansas. The hazards it could bring is some strong damaging winds. A good rush of wind from the thunderstorm. Could be seeing 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour wind gusts here. And we also could be seeing some pretty large and destructive hail anywhere here across the central and into the southern plains, even parts of western Missouri as well, where you see these hatch marks. Hailstones could be pretty destructive, 2 to 3 inches in diameter, and we're watching out for a tornado risk, especially here into Kansas, with more of a conditional risk for tornadoes further to the south, and that is because of a capping inversion. We have warm air at the surface, but we also have warm air aloft, and typically for thunderstorms to develop, you need warm air at the surface with colder air aloft. If we can break that cap across Oklahoma and even North Texas, tornadoes will also be possible further to the south. Right now, we're watching a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes in and around the Wichita area and areas surrounding that like Emporia, Kansas, keeping an eye on that for the potential for some stronger long track tornadoes. So let's set the stage for you. Why are we seeing this? Well, starting off Tuesday morning, we're going to see some dry air out there. You're going to be walking out the door for work or school and being like, why is there severe weather? Our dew points are in the 30s. Well, we're going to start to see that Gulf moisture start to really ramp up further to the north as we go through the day there on Tuesday. And as you're heading home from work or school, those dew points will be significantly higher into the upper 40s to even the low 60s with further southward extent. Even North Texas around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, dew points around 65, 66 degrees Fahrenheit. Typically for severe weather, you look for dew points between around 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's what we see, especially with southward extent. Very significant dry line here. You can see the dry air behind it and the moist and unstable air ahead of it. That's going to provide lift for those thunderstorms, and watch the storm energy really start to rise throughout the day there on Tuesday further to the north. Strongest storm energy is going to be down here in the Lone Star State of Texas and into Oklahoma. But you can see that nosing its way into Kansas there, into that enhanced risk area. Something we're also watching is wind shear, okay? You need not only instability and moisture for severe weather, but you need wind shear, the change of the wind direction and speed with height. And you can see here, this is your low-level jet just around 1 kilometer above the Earth's surface. And this is over 60 knots here in eastern Kansas as we go into the mid and late afternoon hours on Tuesday. And this is the STP. This is the significant tornado parameter space. The higher the number, essentially, the better environment for some strong tornadoes here and any tornadoes that can develop. And you can see those values are peaking in southern Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas around 7s and 8s there, mid to late afternoon here on tomorrow. And then as we go through the evening hours, notice how that low-level jet really starts to crank up as it naturally does after sunset. This could be over 80 knots, folks. This is about as strong as you can get with a low-level jet. And notice how with that low-level jet into the evening hours peaking, you can see those values will peak 21, 22 here out of 10. Now, again, you have to have storms in this environment to have tornadoes, so it doesn't mean that just because you have high values in Oklahoma and Texas means you're going to get tornadoes. That's certainly not the case. You have to break the cap first, and that, again, you have to get cooler air aloft. We have warmer at the surface, warm air aloft. We need the cool air aloft. We need it to cool down above the Earth's surface for storms to form. So that is a big question mark here at this point. So let's look at the radar here and kind of walk you through the timing. Tomorrow morning going to be pretty quiet outside of a couple of showers and sprinkles there as that warm front lifts north there on Tuesday. And then notice here as we go into midday, pretty quiet, maybe a couple showers again as that warmer air moves further to the north. That's what we call warm air advection. And then as we go here into the mid and late afternoon hours, we're watching it zip down the dry line. First starting to the north, that's where the most lift is with the low pressure system, and you have the dry line, that's where the most lift will be. We're going to lift all that unstable air up. We're going to create big cumulonimbus clouds, and then those thunderstorms will develop there in the Cornhusker State, down here into Kansas as well. And then those storms will start to dive further to the east and southeast. And notice I don't really like this look as we go into early Tuesday evening across eastern Kansas, really from just outside Kansas City down toward Topeka and Wichita. Singular supercells here. These would be the ones to pose the risk for some stronger long track tornadoes in that enhanced risk area. And then we have that big line coming right behind it with widespread wind damage and some hail and even some tornadoes along the leading edge of that line as well. And that'll be after dark. So that's what's worrisome. So make sure to have plenty of ways to receive watches and warnings here throughout the day on Tuesday, but especially overnight Tuesday here as you're going to sleep. Make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings, whether that's a NOAA weather radio, your local YouTuber that may be live, the TV station that you're local to. Just have multiple ways to get watches and warnings throughout the day there on Tuesday. Those storms will shift east as we go towards the wee hours of the morning on Wednesday, lining up from southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois all the way down here through Missouri and into Oklahoma. I think the southern part of this line is a little bit more worrisome as more unstable air could continue continue that tornado threat. And here's the updraft helicity. This is basically just showing you the brighter the color, the more intense those storms could be. Notice they're pretty bright in east central Kansas, west central portions of Missouri, and parts of even northeast Oklahoma here. I think this could be for some long track hail events, some wind damage, and even some stronger tornadoes that could be on the ground for maybe 10, 20 minutes at a time. So something we're going to keep an eye on here later tomorrow. Well, we have another big day of severe weather on Wednesday, and this could be the biggest day of the week as we have this system really starting to occlude up in the upper Midwest. But a dry line cold front combo is going to be coming into an environment that is very conducive for widespread severe weather. That's why the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and put an enhanced risk of severe weather out across southern lower Michigan, all the way down through Illinois, Indiana, into western Ohio, Kentucky, down here in the middle and western Tennessee, northwest Alabama, northern Mississippi, into southeast Missouri, much of the state of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and northeast Texas, and a small area there in southeastern Oklahoma, with the yellow and green surrounding that. So that's a marginal slight risk here surrounding that as well. And this could be for some significant severe weather, okay? Hurricane force winds, 75, 80 miles an hour, 2 to 3 inch diameter hail, and yes, more strong, even intense tornadoes that could be on the ground for a long period of time. So whenever you hear the term long track tornadoes, that's what we could see as we go into Wednesday. Those tornadoes could be on the ground for 10, 20 minutes or so at a time. Looking here at the dynamics, we have plenty of moisture out the gate already Wednesday morning. Dew points all the way up into Missouri and downstate Illinois into the 50s and 60s. That warmer air is going to shift further to the north. The question mark is, how far north does it go? Because that morning complex of storms that originates Tuesday night out in the plains will be heading eastward into the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and southern Great Lakes. Does that push that warm sector a little bit further to the south? That is a big question mark. The European model seems to suggest not really much impeding that, the transport of moisture and storm energy further north. So we could have severe weather all the way up even into Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So something to keep an eye on. Very dynamic storm system here. We have a very strong, powerful, in fact, mid-level jet rounding the base of our trough, and this is going to provide a lot of lift and wind shear and speed shear, right? We have a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. This is going to help storms organize here and sustain themselves. The low-level jet also going to be quite strong there Wednesday morning, backing off a little bit Wednesday afternoon and evening, but still over 60 knots will get the job done for some stronger storms out there. So here we go Wednesday morning. Question marks on this complex of storms as we go across the Midwest, southern Great Lakes, Ohio Valley. This could squelch the severe weather threat a little bit or a lot of it across this region. We're going to keep an eye on that. And looking further south, if there were to be a moderate risk upgrade, I'm looking at areas there in downstate Illinois, southeast Missouri, Arkansas, western Kentucky, and western Tennessee. Watch these storms really just start to evolve as we go into the peak daytime heating there Wednesday, mid to late afternoon, and then going into the evening. And notice those individual supercells that even this global model, the European model, is actually showing. This isn't even a high resolution model, and it's showing that. So that is also pretty worrisome. But watch as we go throughout the week here. We just see that continue as we go into Thursday, Friday time frame as well. That's why we have a slight risk for severe weather into Thursday, and likely probably see more of these throughout the week. We can see those storms lining up from Texas to the Ohio Valley Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even into Sunday before we get rid of those into the southeast Monday morning. And this is also going to be worrisome as far as a hydrological standpoint, because we have a lot of rainfall here across the mid-Mississippi Valley and into the lower Ohio River Valley. Widespread areas here from southern and central Ohio all the way to southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas, and these brown shaded colors. That is at least 6 inches worth of rain. And we zoom it in, the bullseye, Little Rock, Jonesboro, all the way up here into Memphis, Jackson and Clarksville, Tennessee, Paducah, Kentucky, the boot heel of Missouri, western Kentucky in general there toward Bowling Green, even as far north there as Louisville and Evansville, Indiana. Those areas will be a prime area for potentially 6 to as much as 12 inches of rain between now and next Monday on April 7th, and that could cause some big problems. Now, there is a cold side to this storm as well. We're going to be seeing snowfall further off to the north. April can still bring its fair share of snow. Could be bringing snow to the Dakotas, northern Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin. Another ice storm, unfortunately, for the same areas there in central and southern Ontario. That ice threat will be lifting over into southern Quebec, and maybe a little bit of icing over there too into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine as we go into later on in the week, and then maybe some snow again with a weaker system later on in the week in the upper Midwest. Snowfall, from a snowfall standpoint, a couple of inches of snow, a plowable snow, very possible there into the eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Heavier snows there in Ontario and Quebec. And then looking at the cold air, once we get that cold front later on next weekend on Sunday, April 6th, we're going to actually see a lot of that colder air pushing further south for, the April standards here, all the way down to Mexico and Texas. And notice how we have a switch in our weather pattern. We have the ridge in the east this week, trough in the west. Look at how we completely do a 180 on the weather pattern. We have a ridge out west, we have a trough out east, and that will shut off our severe weather chances because storms don't like cold air. And you can see in the eastern U.S. as we go into the second week of April, the 7th through the 12th or so, we're going to see below normal temperatures and well below normal in some areas, 20-25 degrees below normal, highs in the 40s and 50s, kind of some raw days from the Midwest to the Northeast, and even cooler in the Southeast, highs in the 50s and 60s during this time, and then we're warming up further off to the west into the second week there of April. Very wet this week, okay, that's the takeaway, and then as we go into the next week, into the second week of April, it turns much drier, and that is a good look because we need to dry out across this region, especially after seeing 6 to 12 inches of rain and some potentially significant flash flooding. So I do expect the Ohio River, the Mississippi River here to get a lot of water added to it, and we could be seeing some river flooding, so something to watch out for as we head toward mid-April. Speaking of mid-April, as we go towards the 13th, 14th, and beyond, towards the 20th time frame, another ridge is going to establish itself somewhere up here south of the Hudson Bay, whether that's southeastern Canada, whether that's the northeast United States. We're looking at a pattern that could send some warmer temperatures east again and a trough out across the west, and in general, this will warm us up. So if you're not a fan of the cool weather, we're going to be seeing warmer temperatures here into the eastern and northeastern U.S. towards the third week of April, around the middle of April or so, or the few days after that, and then cooler weather returning to the west coast or the western third of the United States. Folks, I cannot stress this enough. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share this video with as many people as you can, friends, family, and on social media. A dangerous next few days ahead. It all starts as we go into tomorrow, continues into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with severe weather, with Wednesday looking to be very significant, Tuesday also looking pretty significant overnight. So make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings, whether that's a NOAA weather radio, your local TV meteorologist, whether that's a YouTuber that's live overnight. Make sure to have multiple weather sources at your disposal as we go through the week ahead, because dangerous weather is expected. Thank you all for watching. I hope everybody had a wonderful Monday out there, and I'll see you all in the next video.